Hello everyone, this is Aaron from Ohio Bar Hop. I'm coming to you from my home bar in Columbus, Ohio today. Earlier today we had a rally at the Statehouse to bring the message forward of the bar and restaurant industry here in Ohio to save our industry really, because we are on the brink of failure. And the announcement by Governor DeWine last week that he was going to shut our businesses down was going to be the last nail in the coffin of probably over 50% of Ohio's bars and restaurants. Thankfully, we got a little bit of a win that last week or early this week when the governor announced he's not going to close the bars at this time. Unfortunately, we all know that this shutdown is still looming over our heads and it can happen at any time. And this puts hundreds of thousands of my colleagues in this industry and myself in a very precarious situation going into the holiday season. Well, we had a nice turnout at the rally today, and there was a lot of great legislation that was getting voted on today at the General Assembly at the Statehouse to help small businesses like ours. And I had a very positive day because of this, and I'm very optimistic going forward. Don't get me wrong, we have a long fight ahead of us, and it's going to be a tough uphill battle to win this fight for the bar and restaurant industry, but we're going to continue to fight it, and we're happy to do so. So what I want to do right now is show you guys a little bit of the event. If you weren't able to make it out today, I'm really sorry you couldn't make it. You missed a great event, you missed some great guest speakers, but I want to thank you all for following this page and for supporting Ohio's bar and restaurant industry. So here's a little bit of what happened today. I can't show the whole event. It was several hours long actually, and it would be too long to show the whole thing. But so here's some highlights from today's event.
We're glad you're here, and I'm going to turn it over to Aaron Crater. He is the founder of Ohio Bar Hop, and he's the creator of this event. And I reached out to him. Maybe it was a couple days ago, actually maybe 5 days ago, and saw he was doing this and, wanted to be involved in helping promote it. And Aaron will go into details about what he does, but what he does is important. He's a bartender, and he is in the industry and is an advocate for restaurants and bars, which are the businesses most suffering right now. So I'll turn it over to Aaron Crater.
Thanks everyone for showing up today. This is really important for Ohio's small business right now. As Jeff said, I'm Aaron Crater. I founded Ohio Bar Hop back in early August. The reason I started this campaign was because I saw the writing on the wall of what was going to happen to Ohio's small businesses, especially our bars and restaurants, with the 10 p.m. curfew that went into place in early August. This is killing our industry right now. It is absolutely stifling our industry to the point that the Ohio Restaurant Association has already come out and said, if we don't make a change, over 50% of our favorite bars and restaurants across our state are going to be gone, and they're going to be gone forever. That's huge, folks. We are 10% of Ohio's economy. Hundreds of thousands of us work in the service industry. I'm very proud to be a bartender. I've been doing this job for almost 15 years. We provide a very essential service to people in the service industry. We provide gathering places for people. We provide outlets for people when they're having bad times and stressful times. We provide a listening ear to people who come into our business and maybe had a bad day and need someone to talk to and listen to. We provide environments for people to meet in and conduct business deals. These are all very essential parts of our economy, and Governor DeWine doesn't seem to see that. He was poised last week to shut us down completely again. This would have stomped out so many jobs in my industry right before the holidays. He was about to put hundreds of thousands of my coworkers and my colleagues across the state out of work right before the most important time of the year, holidays. A lot of people said when I wanted to get this event going, why we're not doing this at DeWine's house, why we're doing it here, why we're doing it today. The symbolism of what we're doing here is the most important. This is our house. This is our state house. These are our representatives in government that are most directly accountable to us. I think we've proven over this year that we're not going to change Governor DeWine's mind on what he's doing to small business. But I don't know if you've been watching the news or not, but it's happening in here right now.
That's right.
This is where we need to put the pressure on.
Yes.
We need to get our state representatives and our state legislators in a bipartisan manner to come to the aid of small business in Ohio. And we're starting to see that happen, and that is absolutely something we should applaud. I've been traveling around the state for over almost 4 months now, talking to bar and restaurant owners and how this 10 p.m. curfew has hurt them. The stories I've heard would break your heart. So many of these business owners are not only not making profit at this point, they are going into personal financial debt just to keep their staffs employed. This cannot go on. Now, we won a small victory. Enough of us put pressure on our state legislators here and on the governor over the weekend and early this week to get him to stop his idea of shutting our bars and restaurants down. I give you all the credit for that. We did that. Governor DeWine doesn't get the credit for that. We get the credit for that, for what we've done to put the pressure on him. This is how we make change in government. Going forward, though, this blanket 10 p.m. curfew is really a backdoor way for Governor DeWine to continue to keep the bars and restaurants closed past 10 p.m. You tell me a retail business, with the exception of grocery stores and pharmacies, which have an exception under his rule, that stays open past 10 p.m. I can't think of any. And I certainly don't see people congregating at Menards at 10 o'clock at night. Governor DeWine's 10 p.m. curfew for alcohol sales was scheduled to expire on November 28. He knew he could not renew that order. This is his backdoor way to keep us closed. So while we won a small victory by getting him not to close us completely, we have a long fight ahead of us, and we're going to continue to fight this fight. We've got some great representatives and great senators inside this building, and a lot of them are in session right now. I talked to some of them earlier this week, and they want to be out here with us, but there's some really important bills they're voting on to help small business in session right now, and a few of them wanted me to say that they're here in spirit with us. We have a problem in leadership in this House, though. It's not the members of the caucuses in here. It is the leadership. We have had a bill to end the 10 p.m. curfew introduced to the House on September 8. We are still waiting for that to get assigned to committee because the Speaker of the House, Robert Cupp, has been stonewalling it. Other bills have been stonewalled by the leadership inside of here. Our members and our representatives and our senators are fighting hard to get these bills into committee and get a vote on them. I'm confident going forward that there is bipartisan support from our elected officials on the Democrat side and the Republican side to help small business. But we have to put the pressure on the leadership here. Call them. Tell them to get these bills into committee. Tell them to get these bills moving forward now. Our businesses cannot wait any longer. I want to say a very big thanks to a couple guest speakers we have here today. We have Lisa Keller, who is a Delaware City Councilwoman. We have Conrad Allen, who's the Executive Director of Committee for a Better Ohio. And I want to say a really big thanks to Jeff Louderback, who helped me with a lot of the logistics of today's event and getting things set up. So thank you, Jeff. Thank you all for coming out as well. We need your help. We need your support. Visit your local bar and restaurant. We need your help right now more than ever. Because without you coming in and patronizing our businesses, we're going to fail anyways. So please continue to support your local mom and pop shops. It's really important. Thank you very much.
But regardless of what your federal political affiliation is, we've seen more than ever this year how it's important who your township trustees are, your judges are, your city councilmen, your state reps, your school board, everyone up to the governor. Yes. So I'm excited to introduce Lisa Keller, Delaware City Councilwoman. She's a vocal business advocate, and I'll let her take over from here.
Thank you so much for being here, everyone. I want you to stop and imagine my face when I found out that this position did not come with an official speechwriter. So I had to keep some notes here to make sure that I wouldn't get too nervous to communicate the message, the really important message that I want to share with all of you, and that is a message in support of our bars, our restaurants, and our gyms. They are suffering, and it's going to be people like you and I that need to be their voices right now. I spent the last 12 years on Delaware City Council building parks, fixing potholes, talking about city budgets. And all of a sudden, we find ourselves in this situation that none of us ever thought that we would be in. We never thought that we would be looking at business shutdowns. I never thought that I would be getting phone calls from friends and neighbors asking what I could do to help them. I've always poured myself into my work, I've always done the research, and I've always asked a lot of questions. And those questions are why I'm here today. This position that we find ourselves in requires something different of all of us. I know it's required something different of me, and I know for sure that it's required different things of you too. That's why you're all here, right? There's a million other places that you could be, a million other things that you could be doing, but you've decided how important it is to be an advocate. You have a spark of liberty inside of you that not everyone has. And I have it too. I'm really proud of that. At the beginning, as an elected official, I received all of the terrifying reports. And let me tell you, elected officials saw things that most people didn't see. And I can't even tell you how terrifying it was. I don't think I slept for 3 days. I wondered if I really had it in me to do what was going to be required in the next few months. That's how scary things were. I was one of the people in my garage washing my groceries. I have to admit it, I was. Okay, I read the stuff. If you had read what I read, you would have been washing those groceries too, I promise you. But as I watched our bars and our restaurants and our gyms close, I started asking questions. These are the people who sponsored our sports teams. These are the people who, when my daughter was sick and I went into a local restaurant for soup, they said, just take it. Go home and take care of your daughter. They insisted I wouldn't pay. These people were not just business owners. They were our friends. They are our friends. They are our neighbors. I started saying, wait a minute. When I saw the empty streets in my city and the isolation that people were feeling, I asked myself, if safety requires us to forfeit the parts of our lives that matter the very most, then what are we accomplishing? I watched as the businesses reopened with mandates. Many of these mandates so strict and severe that they weren't able to stay afloat. Just this week in my city, we lost a fan favorite business called 12 West. They could not become profitable. They could not stay afloat with the governor's current mandates. Even without a shutdown, we lost that business. And unfortunately, I fear that we're going to lose a lot more. Others are limping, and they're scared for their future. I was at my son's baseball game when a bar owner named Margaret came up to me and said, Lisa, are you on city council? I need your help. My bar has to close like all other bars at 10 p.m., but I have a late night liquor license, and the focus of my business was always the later crowd. They would come after they finished their second shift positions. Can you help me? And I thought, here we go, I'm going to help Margaret. So I went to our city. We had hundreds of thousands of dollars of CARES Act funding, but she didn't qualify for barely any of it because she paid her mortgage with a loan during the shutdown. Now she can't pay her loan or her mortgage, but because she wasn't in arrears, we couldn't use CARES Act dollars to help her. And I was told, we can't help everyone. And my friends, that lit a little spark. That spark inside of me that said, oh no. So I'm here for Margaret. I'm shaking on the inside, but I'm here for Margaret and all the people out there like Margaret who need someone with a microphone, and I happen to get that privilege because of my position. And I'm going to use it to speak for Margaret and all of the bar, restaurant, and gym owners like Margaret who need someone with a microphone to speak. When Jeff asked me to speak, I thought, nope, that's not my thing. I don't do this. I'm not eloquent. I can't speak without my note cards, but I said to myself, if not you, then who? If not all of us, then who? We can't let the spark of liberty go out. So what can we do? Well, one of the things I did was when we were discussing that CARES Act funding in my city, I rounded up all of our local bar owners and our restaurant owners, and I lined them up to give public comment at our meeting. And I said, please come tell your stories about what this is doing to you. And they did that. And so I encourage you to go back out into your communities and get your local bar and restaurant owners together. If there's a county commissioner meeting or a city council meeting or a school board meeting or township trustee meeting, please don't ever let those meetings happen with no one to come give public comment. Don't let that voice and that opportunity to get this message out go unused. I can't tell you how many times we have public comment at our city council meetings and there's no one there to give any comment. And it's a very lonely place for some people who are speaking. So we're stronger together. Gather up your local bar, restaurant, and gym owners. Gather up with like-minded people and make sure that you're on the agenda at your local meetings and that you're making this message heard by people who are making decisions. That's so important. Our state legislators, we all need to be involved in who they are, what's important to them, what their voting histories are, and we need to let them know what we want out of them. We need to take control back from that fourth unelected branch of government that none of us learned about in school. And we need to put it back with the men and women who are supposed to be making laws in the state of Ohio for us. I have a Facebook page. My name is Councilwoman Lisa Keller. And I could ask for your support because sometimes this message isn't always well received. And so if you want to like that page, I share a lot of data, I share information, and I would love your support there. And when you see other people doing the same, they need your support because it can be a lonely place out there to spread this message of hope. For our bars and restaurants and our gyms, patronize them. If you get a meal, take a picture of it. Can you imagine the impact that all of us could have if we turned ourselves into a network of marketers for our local businesses? If we told people how good their food was and took pictures and talked about the wonderful service that we received. That is more to them than any advertisement that they could ever pay for. It's just us doing that work for them out there. Tip generously, because a lot of these people have no idea if they're even going to have a job or a place to go to next week. There's constant threats coming their way. So tip whatever you can afford. And light the spark of liberty in other people. Keep reminding them that we can't forfeit everything that makes our communities great. I'll say this again. If safety requires us to forfeit the most valuable parts of our lives, what are we trying to save? We all know that our liberty does not stop where someone else's fear begins. We live in the greatest country on earth because of people like us that are going to keep lighting the spark of liberty in other people. The greatest country on earth, and our liberty doesn't actually stop anywhere. Thank you so very much for your time today. I appreciate it.
These are the type of candidates we need representing us in office at every level. I mean, that's important. So I'm excited to have Conrad is here. He actually drove. He didn't walk this time. But welcome, Conrad Allen.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the present crisis. When the U.S. and the state constitutions are not followed and the legislature is bypassed and rendered impotent, no entrepreneur can operate or invest in a business without the risk of greedy and despotic overreach of the government executive. The governor is now the master and you are the slave standing on the scaffold. This is the present crisis. Bars and restaurants are under tremendous pressure. On the best days, profit margins are thin. Am I right, brother? And tips are hard earned. Is that a fact? Any waitresses or waiters, servers here? We are here today to support and defend these entrepreneurs and employees as their livelihoods are under attack by socialists. Their dreams of owning the fruits of their own labor and investment is crushed by the iron fist of the governor's investigative unit. So the lieutenant governor and the governor, they're what I call small business assassins. Dead set on shuttering small businesses, like my brother's bar. We can no longer go back any further. We're at the limit. These businesses are shuttering. You are out here because you understand.
Record homicides, record suicides.
The lady said record homicides, record suicides, depression, alcoholism. Our backs are against the wall. We're not going back another step. Am I right, cowboy?
That's right.
All right.
Because they want to push us into poverty while they collect all the money. That's it.
So some in the legislature are making a stand in their own ways. And these patriots should be commended and rewarded with your loyalty and votes of confidence. However, others are gleeful architects and participants in the destruction of bars, restaurants, capital, labor, and frankly, dreams. Reward those that are brave capitalists. Call them, visit them, give them encouragement. There's much to be hopeful about, as I've personally met some of the new legislators that are going to join this next house. They're good people.
Let's hope they stay good once these slime balls get a hold of them.
The lady said it exactly right. They're good coming in. Let's make sure they stay good. You know how we keep them accountable. That's how we do it. You call them. If you don't know them personally, get to know them personally. And if they're ignoring you, get on Facebook and say so. That's exactly right. But you know, Mr. Cross, he had House Bill 612, which prevents the governor or the Ohio Department of Health from shutting down businesses during COVID-19 pandemic. You know that thing, Lynn, did that just pass yesterday? Isn't that terrific? You know what? And so don't just say, well, it's about time. Get on the phone and tell Mr. Cross, hey, we got your back on that. That took a lot of courage. I saw you on YouTube. I saw all the work you're doing to get that done. Let him know, because if he doesn't think the public is with him, he may not have the courage next time to step out on a limb like that.
They're still going to have to override.
That's right. The gentleman said, well, the governor is promising to veto this. And so we're going to need to get the override. But you here can make a difference. And believe me, those guys listen to you. So give them a call. So anyway, that particular bill passed with a 75-11 vote, surprisingly with support from both Democrats and Republicans. So you know what, the governor, you know what he said about that wonderful House Bill 612? I don't have it exactly right here, but in logic, he said, he called the legislation misguided. He said the entire House is misguided for voting in favor of bars and restaurants and gyms and all other businesses wrongly shuttered by his orders. What in the hell's misguided about saving these businesses? Nothing. The wine is misguided. Husted is misguided, and the young lady said, he is not our daddy. This is the point. Don't cause too much trouble for all these legislators. Don't put them all in the same box. Some of these guys and ladies are doing really great work, and let's support those that do. And yeah, you guys get the point.
And hold the others accountable.
And hold the others accountable. I was missing those words. Thank you, sir. You know what? God will keep watch above the people of Ohio and the United States of America. This is my prayer. This is my hope. This is what I'll live and die for. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Conrad Allen.
Thank you,
And my next guest is Jessica Franz from Ohio Stands Up. Ohio Stands Up, a lot of you might know, is the organization that has filed a lawsuit to restore our constitutional rights. Tom Renz, he's a brilliant attorney.
I would also encourage you to reach out to your sheriffs and your mayors. Okay, there's mayors standing up and saying, you know what? Even if he shuts down our state, we're still open for business, and we're going to support our small businesses. Troy and Piqua mayors, kudos to them. They have just made statements. We don't care. You know, he shuts down. He's going to shut we're open for business. Okay, and so that's the stand they need to be taking, because these businesses have a right to make a living. They have a right, and we have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
All right, folks, just a couple few things before we wrap up here today. Thanks again for everyone coming out today.
Thank you for having us, and thanks for the event.
As Conrad was saying a few minutes ago, if you think that your voice isn't heard by your representatives in this House, you're wrong. I've never been involved in politics other than doing my civic duty of voting, except for this year. I've become more politically active this year than I ever have been in my life, and I'm just a lonely little bartender here in Columbus, Ohio. Believe me, when we talk to them and we put the pressure on them, they will listen to us. We're seeing it happen right now. I have met more politicians this year than I really care to, but I'll tell you what, I've got their ear now, and they're listening to the little bartender from Columbus, Ohio. The theme of this year has been listen to the science. That's okay. That's a good thing. Right before Governor DeWine decided he was going to try to shut our bars and restaurants down this week, his scientists, his doctors came out and said, the spread of COVID is not coming from bars and restaurants in our state. 2 days before he made that announcement. That's what his medical advisors said. He's not listening to the science. The medical doctors that he has in his advisory team right now are telling us that the spread of COVID is coming from social gatherings and private residences right now, not businesses. There's no reason to shut our businesses down right now. We are safe, we are clean, we disinfect, and we care about you.
You cared about us before you went through all that stuff.
I put the blame on the spread of COVID right now at these social gatherings across our state at Governor DeWine's feet himself. Who's pushing people to gather in homes right now? It's Governor DeWine.
That's right.
We're not. We want them to come to our businesses where we clean tirelessly to keep people safe. But we need socialization. We're people. We have to have a social outlet, especially in times like this year when things are stressful. But when the governor comes in and says, you're not allowed to socialize in these areas anymore, in bars and restaurants, people are still going to do it because we need it. And they're going into homes and doing it there.
That's right.
This is Governor DeWine's fault. This is his problem. And with this blanket curfew he's putting in effect for all businesses, we're going to see a rise in numbers, not a fall in numbers. We need to open our businesses back up.
That's right. Open up Ohio!
We need to open Ohio back up. Now, in a couple notes. Do I have any restaurant or bar owners or bar restaurant employees here today?
Right here.
Excellent. Lots of them. Thank you for coming out. I want to speak to you guys afterwards. Please come see me. For everyone else, I am fighting hard for our bars and restaurants across this state. I will do anything I can. I will travel anywhere in the state to visit a bar, restaurant, or an employee or an owner and talk to them to get their voice heard. You tell them what I'm doing, and you point them my way. You can find me on Facebook, you can find me on YouTube, you can find me on Twitter, and you can find me on Instagram. Just look for Ohio Bar Hop. I want to share the voices of the people in my industry that are suffering and hurting right now. So please go back into your communities. Tell them what I'm doing. Talk to your local restaurant and bar and let them know that I want to help them.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you all for coming out today, and thank you for your support of our industry.